west winds 25 to 45 with a wind advisory in effect. Low tonight in the upper 20s. We're going to watch.
Good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along this morning. There's just a lot of stuff this morning. We'll break it down here for you shortly.
Serving the Sioux Empire with the latest news and the greatest talk. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sounded a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along. Tuesday, November 19th. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Big stories this morning. The Pennsylvania is like, are they ever going to be finished counting the ballots in Pennsylvania and what's going on with that Senate race? And now Pennsylvania's governor siding with the state's high court after their state Supreme Court had ruled that mail-in ballots that were faulty, these are faulty mail-in ballots, can't be counted. So this recount has been ongoing, and it's like, here we are now, weeks past the election and still counting ballots. So the state Supreme Court then took a position on this in a 4-3 ruling. And despite that, you may have heard this yesterday, there were still people that were saying, despite the court ruling, they were just going to proceed. And anyway, and they were going to keep counting ballots. And, that to me is amazing. I think, a lot of us, your state Supreme Court comes out with the decision, you'd say, well, even if you disagreed with it, many of us, you'd say, well, that's it. Okay, state Supreme Court has rendered a decision, that's it. How in the world do folks get to a point where they think, well, we don't care. We're just going to keep doing it anyway. We'll just keep doing what we want to do and forget about wow. I mean, that is just so incredibly brazen. Not surprising living in this country today. It's a bizarro world. I mean, so you see these kinds of things happening. So they said that the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court said the counties cannot count incorrectly dated or undated ballots. And finally, the governor of and they said they shall comply, all capital letters, they shall comply with prior rulings of the court. And so finally, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro gets involved in this. And he's siding with the state's high court. And he said he would continue working to protect our democracy and the votes of all eligible Pennsylvanians. But so the county commissioner had said last week, people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention. There's nothing more important than counting votes. Nothing more important than counting votes. What if the votes are, again, the issue was that they were incorrectly dated. They were completely undated. Those are problems. So counting, you get a lot of folks on the left who say this, nothing more important than counting votes, right? I would say, yeah, there's nothing more important than counting eligible votes. They don't discriminate. So you get the courts saying, no, you don't count these ballots. They're undated, whatever. It would have just gone on and on and on. So you've got Governor Shapiro siding with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. He said any insinuation that our laws can be ignored or do not matter is irresponsible. And it does damage to faith in our electoral process. The rule of law matters in Pennsylvania. It's critical for counties and both parties to respect it with both their rhetoric and their actions. So here you've got Josh Shapiro siding with the state Supreme Court, and some are saying, thanks, you're a bit late here, Governor Shapiro. So I'm seeing there's some pushback already. Would have been nice if he had entered this, a lot sooner than this week to say that. But so that is a big story this morning. And then Fox News has a story this morning with a Trump campaign official saying that election officials in Pennsylvania will face jail time for counting these mail-in ballots with either incorrect or missing dates, after the state Supreme Court had already said those ballots should not be counted. They kept counting them anyway, right? And so this is Chris, I'm going to mispronounce his last name. I've never heard of him before. He's a Trump co-campaign manager. And he posted to X on Sunday evening of these people then just still counting ballots. He said they will go to jail. Count on it, he said. So he was reacting to a social media post touting a story about Senator Bob Casey then endorsing the county commissioner in Bucks County last year during her campaign for the position. And she was the one that was out there still counting votes. So it's a mess in Pennsylvania. It's an absolute mess. All right, other big stories this morning. Donald Trump, and we'll talk about this morning. Donald Trump extending an olive branch to the legacy media, and he reached out to MSNBC's Morning Joe. Actually, they reached out to him. Joe Scarborough of MSNBC reached out, and Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski met with Donald Trump on Friday, and they dropped this bomb during their show yesterday. And those of you who watched the fourth hour, my podcast show yesterday morning, I was just learning of this story then after I had gotten off the air yesterday. And so they are, Scarborough talked about it, and they're getting a lot of heat. So Mika Brzezinski said that she and Scarborough had met with Trump, and she said, we went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years. Scarborough said they discussed a number of different issues with Trump, such as abortion, mass deportation, threats of retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. And so then he said they didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so. Oh, wow. Such bravery. So then Trump said, and I think this is what's important for me to focus on. I understand there's a lot of pushback. Megyn Kelly on her show yesterday was talking about how, and you get a number of others saying the same thing. Yeah, these folks are phony. Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, a couple of phonies. Absolutely, don't agree. You know, their MSNBC is in the tank. Their ratings have declined by 50% since the election. They're in a free for all, right? So it's understood that they're trying to, do whatever they can to try to get an audience, right? So, but Trump, what was amazing to me is not Joe and Mika, it's Donald Trump. It's Trump. Now watch Donald Trump and his reaction. That to me is really incredible because Trump told Fox News, he said, in order to make America great again, it's very important, if not vital, to have a free, fair, and open media or press. And then he talked about receiving the call from Joe Scarborough, requesting a meeting for him and Mika. And Trump says, I agreed that it would be a good thing if such a meeting took place. We met at Mar-a-Lago on Friday morning at 8, he said. He said it was an extremely cordial meeting. He said many things were discussed, and I very much appreciated the fact that they wanted to have open communication in many ways. It's too bad that it wasn't done long ago. And then Trump said they congratulated me on running a great and flawless campaign, one for the history books, which I really believe it was, Trump said. But it was also a campaign where I worked long and hard, perhaps longer and harder than any presidential candidate in history. And then he said, we talked about various cabinet members, both announced and to be announced as expected. They like some very much, but not all. The meeting ended in a very positive manner, and we agreed to speak in the future. Now, keep in mind that Donald Trump used to be a regular on their show. Trump was a regular on their show. And so I'm curious to get your take on this because it really is. I mean, Megyn Kelly is just on her podcast. She said she really went after them. She, she used some profanity that I will not use here. So I mean, wow, it was pretty stern stuff. And she's saying how the whole thing is absurd. And then she comes around and she was talking to Glenn Greenwald. And he said he thinks we're days away from Trump calling into Morning Joe like he did back in the early days of his political career. And, she's going to say, well, Trump doesn't need them, doesn't need, Mika and Joe, doesn't need. Let's, I think we all need to calm down. I understand why folks are excited. You had Nikki Haley and Charlemagne agreeing that, that the only reason they saw Trump is because they saw MSNBC's ratings tank. So I understand there is a lot of, there are those I think that want to be engaged in payback. And I'm not one of them. I just am not. I think, look at what Donald Trump is doing. And this guy, somebody who is absolutely godless. How long were we told that? This somebody who is absolutely godless. And really, man, it's an incredible display of forgiveness and understanding that, okay, he knows if you want the country to do well, you're the president-elect of the United States. You want the country to be able to do well. You cannot just stop talking to the media. And they're reaching out to him, and he's being incredibly gracious, but he's also being very clear. If it goes bad, It's like, okay, then we'll be done. If they want to go back to, then we're going to be done. Trump made that very, very clear. But look at what he's doing. This guy just continues to amaze me one turn after another. It's just absolutely incredible. Other big stories this morning. So I want to get to this. There's a story at Fox News this morning that apparently Joe Biden wants to get a number of judicial confirmation votes on the calendar. So now Democrats are racing to get stuff done before Trump gets into office, right? So you've got the Democrats in the Senate who want to get these judicial nominations punched out before Trump comes along. And Senator John Thune is saying, whoa, not so fast. It's a great story. Two sources tell Fox that the plan to slow down the Senate was spearheaded by Senator John Thune. And Thune said if Senator Schumer thought Senate Republicans would just roll over and allow him to quickly confirm multiple Biden-appointed judges to lifetime jobs in the final weeks of the Democrat majority, he thought wrong, Thune says. So the Republicans now are involved in procedural maneuvers and so on to slow that train down, slow the Democrats down. So Republicans, which is very encouraging to see some of this. Also this morning, this is kind of a convoluted, you have Democrats in Salem, Massachusetts want to remove Representative Seth Moulton. He's a Democrat, by defeating him in the next primary, because he's a sitting congressman of Massachusetts. He blamed his party's policies for its devastating defeat in the presidential and the congressional elections. Moulton has said specifically that Democrats are out of step with most Americans, and he expressed his own personal disapproval of biological males playing on female sports teams. So he made his comments about boys in girls sports during an interview and saying Democrats lost the presidency, the Senate, and the House because the party is spending way too much time trying not to offend anyone. Really? They don't seem too concerned about offending me, as well as a number of other Americans. So also this that brought a reaction from incoming Democratic Representative Sarah McBride, who is trans. So she is trans, or he is trans. And so he is reacting to, it gets confusing, doesn't it? He is reacting to Seth Moulton and what he's saying. And he's also reacting to Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, because Mace, apparently, she doesn't want to share a women's restroom with men. So she introduced a bill yesterday that would ban biological males from using women's restrooms in the U.S. Capitol. So now, keep in mind, you've got incoming Representative Sarah McBride of Delaware, who is trans, So seems to be aimed at him, and wow. And so Nancy Mace said, playing make-believe dress-up doesn't mean you should be allowed in women's private spaces. And so the bill that she is sitting on would prevent any male with any job from using spaces that are designated for women. So under the Biden-Harris administration, the word woman was broadened to mean either females or men who say they're women. And this is getting all kinds of reaction. We'll get into that story also over the course of the morning. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. All right, 626. Got some light rain at 43. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
And Robbins, weekdays at 2. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
It's crazy. And then you have some of the Democrats in the media machine absolutely are not going to give up on this issue of trans, and it's a minority. It's just such a small minority of people, and Jen Psaki and others. I mean, it's just so. I guess getting their asses kicked during the election really didn't teach them much of anything. But I can't say that I'm surprised. Okay, where are we here?
With any Black Friday purchase. And that's not all. Get 24-month, no interest financing with no minimum purchase and no money down. Hit in store for the furniture shopping event of the season at Unclaimed Freight Furniture. Financing is available with approved credit on qualifying purchases. Ask store for details.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Sioux Falls. Say hello to Blue Beat Business Fiber Internet. With lightning fast fiber speeds up to 10 gig, we're here to elevate your connectivity so you can protect sensitive data, process transactions faster, and support your customer service and remote teams like never before. Plus, our fiber internet packages come with Eero for Business for easy guest Wi-Fi setup. Visit mybluepeak.com/business. Call 855-620-5955.
Yeah, Fox News right now is on this. One of those stories I just mentioned to you. Democratic representative now under fire for his comments. Oh, you can't be out of step with Democrats. Oh, no. Those people are lost.
Lots of wind, lows in the upper 20s, and maybe a little snow in the air by tomorrow. Looks like we'll be watching that coming in from Brookings and Watertown.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30. Got some light rain, 43 currently at Kello. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Senator John Thune says he prefers the traditional process of approving presidential appointment candidates, opposing what Donald Trump wants to do with these recess appointments. Also, the Sioux Falls City Council hitting the home stretch on the much delayed vote for a $77 million aquatics bond. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in moments. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show. Excuse me.
Formally lowers the threshold for using nuclear weapons.
Now, Russia's nuclear doctrine states it could consider using nuclear weapons in the face of a conventional assault supported by a nuclear power. This is said to be the Kremlin's response to President Joe Biden letting Ukraine fire US-made long-range missiles deep into Russia.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. There's testimony at Jose Ibarra's murder trial in Georgia about Laken Riley's smartwatch tracking where she was on a jogging trail and her heart rate during what prosecutors say was an 18-minute fight for her life.
When did her heart rate drop to zero?
So it went to zero at 9:28 and 23 seconds.
University of Georgia police officer Wesley Durkett. The prosecution is expected to rest its case today. A judge, not a jury, is deciding the case at Ibarra's request. America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. New incoming U.S. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he prefers the traditional process of approving presidential appointment candidates, opposing what President-elect Donald Trump wants to do. Trump is asking the Senate for a recess that would allow him to appoint cabinet members without Senate hearings. Thune believes that's not an easy option. He says both the House and Senate have to pass concurrent resolutions to do Trump's way of appointing. But Thune noted the recess is still on the table as a potential option despite his preferences. The Sioux Falls City Council is hitting the home stretch on a much-delayed vote for a $77 million aquatics bond. They'll hear first reading of a resolution to approve the bond. The money would be used to build an indoor pool and recreation center at Frank Olson on the east side, an outdoor pool at a park on the west side, and for a pool and recreation center on the TLS Road. With all of that, Council Chair Kurt Sale is concerned about declining revenues.
2 years in a row, we've missed our mark when it comes to revenue for Sioux Falls. A $50 million hole in the budget because we're not going to get the grants that we're expected to. You start adding all that stuff up, there's some concern about revenues going forward for everything that we need to do in Sioux Falls.
Sale also wants firm pricing on the projects after there have been cost overruns on several projects in recent years. Life Defense Fund is dropping its lawsuit against Dakotans for Health over abortion rights, Amendment G. This comes after the constitutional amendment to expand abortion access in South Dakota was shut down by voters on Election Day earlier this month. The pro-life group in Life Defense Fund was contending that Dakotans for Health violated state laws while circulating petitions, which would mean the amendment shouldn't have been certified. Leaders of the Life Defense Fund say there's no reason to move forward now with any legal action because the group's main priority in filing the suit was to keep Amendment G from passing. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Becoming partly cloudy and windy weather today. Our high temperature 46, west winds 25 to 45 with a wind advisory in effect. Low tonight in the upper 20s. We're going to watch some snow showers blowing in from the north late tonight. Could see a little snow in the air tomorrow. High temperature 32 and very blustery. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Fox News every hour on the hour and entertaining talk shows all day. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 and Kello.com.
I've been thinking about the problems that I and 60 million other viewers experienced Friday night while streaming Netflix during the Tyson Paul fight. The picture froze, the stream crashed. It's not just that Netflix wasn't ready. Nobody's ready for an event like this, and it goes deeper than just a fight. This is a national security issue. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the CFO's Guide to AI Machine Learning for free at netsuite.com/Kim. In the event of a national emergency, where hundreds of millions will turn on their TVs, their phones, and their laptops for news and official information, the same freeze-up and crashes will happen then too. How many can watch is limited by the number of servers available. But with over-the-air reception, there's no limit as to how many can tune in. Federal law gives everyone the right to have an outdoor TV antenna. Homeowners Association rules stating that you can't have been nullified. So do yourself and your family a favor and put one in. Just visit commando.com for the best ones.
Do a search for antenna. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 40,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I had needed this product, it's exactly what I would use. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. This guide is free to you right now at netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available, 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Why do we gather for the holidays? We gather because, in the blur of life, we often take our blessings for granted, distracted by the noise and our own interests. We gather to slow down and reflect on what truly matters, our loved ones, and cherishing the simple moments of joy. We gather to choose gratitude. Have a blessed gathering this Thanksgiving from all of us at Shields.
I'm going to talk about this later this morning on the but Bill Maher, William Shatner was on Bill Maher's real-time show. And William Shatner said he didn't understand why Kamala Harris lost the election. William Shatner is out there. He is. And
hey, Donald Trump Jr. here. Central banks are buying gold at record amounts, and the trend is accelerating in 2024. You see the writing on the wall. The dollar is failing.
Shatner said he was baffled by the election results. I don't know why Democrats lost. I don't understand. He says. And so Maher having to go through and explain to William Shatner why Democrats lost the election. Oh, Bill. Thing is, and I haven't talked about this. The William Shatner came out with a "You Can Call Me Bill." Have you seen that? Oh my heavens! That thing was so depressing. You Can Call Me Bill. I watched it and I'm like, the man is so lost. It's just, and then I see this story about him on real time, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he's lost a little respect for the captain.
With insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates, it'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.
6:39, light rain 43. Great to have you along this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. This portion is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that.
News and views from.
These are stories that are trending this morning. Donald Trump nominating former Congressman Sean Duffy of Wisconsin to serve as a U.S. Secretary of Transportation. And Trump said Sean has been a tremendous and well-liked public servant and going through his career. So Trump announcing this yesterday, Sean will use his experience and the relationships he's built over many years in Congress to maintain and rebuild our nation's infrastructure. So he'll be the Donald Trump's choice as Secretary of Transportation. Also, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has sided with the campaign of Dave McCormick in ordering an immediate end to the deliberately unlawful vote counting efforts of local officials as they were counting ballots. So they were openly flouting a clear earlier ruling of the state high court. And officials in 4 counties had just kept tabulating ballots that didn't have signatures on them or dates, which is required by law. Required by law. We're going to count them anyway. Absolutely incredible what we've seen. Also, the House Ethics Committee will, according to reports, they'll be meeting this week to discuss the year-long investigation into former Representative Matt Gaetz. There are questions. The question has been, should this panel, this House panel, should they release their findings to the Senate? Because he resigned from Congress. So the committee is scheduled to meet coming up tomorrow, which is ironic because it's 5 days after it was initially slated to hold a meeting to discuss the report. Then you had Gaetz, resigning from Congress, and so the issue became moot. So it's really, as to what's going to happen with this, I'll let you know when I know. It's because it's really unclear what's going to happen here moving forward. So, but that story is trending. Also, Donald Trump indicated yesterday that his administration was preparing to declare a national emergency in order to mobilize military assets to crack down on illegal immigration and secure the border. So I saw this yesterday on Trump's True Social account because Tom Fitton, who is the president of Judicial Watch, had said that the second Trump administration was prepared to declare a national emergency and will use military assets to reverse the Biden invasion through a mass deportation program. And Donald Trump then responded to that comment and said, "True," Trump said yesterday. And that's kind of it. So he's saying, yeah, he's planning to use military assets to move these people out of the country. Now, isn't this interesting? You have Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has acknowledged that his government's immigration policy has been exploited. His popularity has been sinking like a stone in Canada, much like Joe Biden's in this country. Because of what Biden was doing and opening up the borders and letting people in. Well, you got a number of people in Canada who don't take very well to that either in their country. And I can't say that I blame them. So Trudeau said that Canada's population has grown rapidly over the past 2 years. But also he said this was accompanied by exploitation. But he said, in the last 2 years, our population has grown really fast, like a baby boom. Increasingly bad actors like fake colleges and big chain corporations have been exploiting our immigration system for their own interests. We made some mistakes, and that's where we are taking this big turn, he said. So he's doing it complete about face. Also, we had the hosts of Morning Joe, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, meeting with Donald Trump on Friday at Mar-a-Lago. They went to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and they revealed this on their program yesterday. And you likely have heard or seen the video as they talked about it, talking with Trump on a number of different issues. And for me, I don't think it's the fact that they did it so much as Donald Trump's response. Because Donald Trump has been treated very horribly by a number of people, certainly by a number of networks, by a number of shows, by a number of hosts. Just been treated incredibly terrible. They've been terrible to him. I mean, the amount of lies and the things that they've said, could you forgive all that? See, I don't know that I would have it in me. Because and I watched Donald Trump, and that is just absolutely amazing. So Trump invited them to Mar-a-Lago on Friday, sat down with them, said they had a nice conversation. And Joe and Mika saying the same thing. Fact of the matter is MSNBC is in trouble, baby. They're in big trouble. They're doing whatever they need to do in order to try to, claw for some audience. I don't know that this is going to bring people back. Now, assuming I were free in the morning, which I am not, but assuming I were free, wouldn't bring me. I wouldn't suddenly say, "Oh man, I got to watch Joe and Mika on MSNBC." No. And is it going to further alienate the crowd that they have been so incredibly loyal to? This, I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall for a lot of these. Also, Senator Rick Scott is saying there have been reports suggesting that, talking about recess appointments, that Senator Mitch McConnell is against them. And there are some others who are also against them, the recess appointments. And Senator Rick Scott said, contrary to those remarks, recess appointments are still very much on the table, he said. So McConnell was quoted at a Washington gathering on Sunday as saying, there will be no recess appointments. And Rick Scott then reacting to this, he said, yes, there will be recess appointments, he's saying. So there's some discussion apparently taking place among Republican senators as to whether or not there will be recess appointments. This is incredible. This is from the Washington Examiner. As more NFL players are captured impersonating Donald Trump's dance, concerns have arisen on social media that the league could be getting ready to announce a ban on Trump's signature moves. Oh, the NFL, man, will they never learn? Well, seriously, will the league never learn this? So they want you see more and more of the folks who are doing this Trump dance. Just incredible. So a number of athletes, particularly in the NFL, I saw in soccer. It was it was an international soccer game, and a guy's doing it. That just cracked me up. So when is the NFL going to learn to just sit down? It's a big deal. They're doing the dance, whether you like it or hate it. It's just absolutely incredible. Would that be a violation of the celebration? Because you can't, So then it's just absolutely incredible. Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders was asked about his dance on Sunday. And he said, I've seen everyone do it. I watched the UFC fight last night and John Jones did it. I like watching UFC, so I saw it, I thought it was cool. Oh, but the NFL's got to suck all of the fun out of that game. This is why I've stopped watching the NFL. I seriously haven't watched in now several years. Since I watched an NFL game, I don't watch. They just were, with the whole kneeling controversy and everything else that was going, they just suck the fun out of that game. Also, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said yesterday he is likely to make a decision on who will take Marco Rubio's Senate seat by early January, he said. So his office is already vetting candidates and will continue to do so. So he said that his office has already received strong interest from several possible candidates. Also, Moscow has issued a warning to the U.S. and its allies, saying that any use of long-range missiles by Kyiv to strike deep within Russian territory would signify the direct participation of the Western powers in the conflict. This is what we talked about yesterday morning during the show. Will this escalate? Will the president now taking the gloves off of Ukraine and saying, okay, go ahead and use those U.S. weapons to strike deeper into Russia? Is that going to trigger, a reaction from Moscow, or could it potentially then involve the United States in another war? And so this was a statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry that any such move would radically change the essence and nature of the conflict. Also, the man who is on trial for the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, isn't that absolutely, we've not talked about it much on this show. That story has been trending, including reports that he was laughing at the time that he was arrested. And this is according to a police officer who was there, and saying there was a lot of laughing, giggling. He said that he and his three brothers were laughing about how they'd been woken up in the morning and escorted out of their apartment. Yeah, they thought the whole thing was funny. Yeah, isn't that funny? I can't wait until we start getting some of those of that mindset out of the country. What do you think that's doing to the country? Just absolutely incredible. As we were talking about the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul boxing live stream, that story is trending this morning. Netflix boasting record-breaking numbers. 60 million, I think, was the number. They had a high of 65 million concurrent streams, and they reached 50 million households, according to Netflix. Also, 14 newcomers are making the ballot for the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame. And outfielder Ikaro Suzuki and pitcher CC, is it Sabathia or Sabathia, are among the 14 new candidates. Number of others who are also on the ballot. Other stories trending this morning. California grower has issued a nationwide recall of organic carrots because it's the carrots apparently responsible for an outbreak of E. coli. And so a number of leading supermarkets are included in this: Albertsons, Kroger, Publix, Trader Joe's, Walmart, and Whole Foods. So this is a recall that came over the weekend, and there were reports from 18 states documenting nearly 40 cases connecting baby carrots with the illness. And those cases have led to 1 death, 15 hospitalizations. Also, the trial continues for Daniel Penny. He's the man who was on the subway and wound up killing Jordan Neely, who was, mentally disturbed. He was mentally disturbed, and he was well known. He had quite a history of, causing problems and just wherever he was going. So the New York medical examiner who performed Neely's autopsy testified that she determined that Neely died from asphyxiation after viewing videos of him in a chokehold. And she didn't wait to see a toxicology report. So now Daniel Penny's lawyers are filing for, an immediate dismissal as a result of that. And that's a look at the stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57. It's great to have you along this morning. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
News is happening. You're hearing it now.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for the first hour of the program. I hope you can return at 9:30 for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. And I very much hope to see you then. Have a great Tuesday. See you again soon.
Car season for deer.